What's going on, guys? John Alder from Codemy.com, and in this video, we're going to build this translation app for Tkinter and Python. All right, guys, like I said, in this video, we're going to make this translation app. But before we get started, if you like this video and want to see more like it, be sure to smash the like button below, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, and check out Codemy.com, where I have dozens of courses with hundreds of videos that teach you to code. Use coupon code YouTube1 to get $30 off memberships to all my courses, videos, and books. One-time fee of just $49, which is insanely cheap. All right, like I said, in this video, we're gonna build this cool little translation app. So, we can type something in here, click translate, and you can see we can pick from English to all these other ones. Here I've got French selected, but German, Greek, there's a whole list. We've got a whole lot of different languages to choose from, and very, very cool. So this is the 200th episode of this Tkinter playlist. Can you believe this? 200 of these crazy videos we've made so far. We're going to keep going, I guess, but man, 200. So I thought this would be a fun little app to build on our 200th video. Pretty interesting and, a nice little app to hit 200 on. And just a reminder, my Cyber Monday sale from yesterday, all my Udemy courses at as low as they'll let me discount. Just go to johnelder.com/Udemy, and you can see all the courses listed there. If you click on any of them, you'll get the discount automatically at checkout. It's the lowest price Udemy lets me discount courses. They're in charge of setting how much I can discount each course over there. But go check those out. If there's a course you're interested in, that would be a great time to pick it up at a cheap price. And, for the next day or two, those will be up at discounted prices. So, all right, let's take a look at this here. We've got a text box here and a text box here. We've got a button in the middle. We've got some combo drop-down boxes and a clear button here. There's not much to this app as far as that goes. All the cool stuff is going to be behind the scenes where we find the list of all of the languages, and then when we actually translate from one to the other. So head back over to our code. I'm using the Sublime Text Editor and the Git Bash terminal as always. And as always, you can find a link to the code in the pinned comment section below, as well as a link to the Tkinter playlist with now 200 videos. Man, 200. So check that out if you haven't seen it so far. So I've got a file called translate.py. It's just our basic Tkinter starter code that we always have. And we need to install a couple of libraries in order to make this work. So let's head over to our terminal. I'm in my C GUI directory. I've got my virtual environment turned on. You can or can't have that on. It doesn't matter. I've just got it turned on because we're going to be installing new things, and I like to do that in a virtual environment, but you absolutely don't have to. So the first thing we want to do is pip install Google Trans. And Google Trans is basically, we're going to use this to get the list of languages. So you don't need this if you've already got that list of languages. You could do that, but this makes it very easy, and you'll see why going forward in this video. We also need to pip install TextBlob. And the TextBlob library is very cool. It lets you do all kinds of neat things with text and NLP stuff and categorization and translation. So we're going to use that for that. So pip install TextBlob. I've already got it. So it says, hey, you've already got it. Okay. So let's head back over to our code and start building this thing out. So the first thing we need to do is import Google Trans. And we also want to import TextBlob. And we're also going to be using a TTK combo dropdown because it looks nicer, and also probably a message box so we could pop up a little message in case there's an error. So we need to import those two. So let's go from Tkinter, import TTK, and message box. And if you don't know what either of those are, I've got 200 other videos in the playlist that talk about these in great detail. So, okay, we got that stuff. So now let's build out the GUI. Let's create our text boxes. So I'm going to call the first one original text, and that's going to be a text box. We want to put it in root. Let's give this a height of 10 and a width of like 40. I've already kind of played around with this, so I know the sizes that I want, but make them any size you want. And then we can go original text. Now I want to grid these. So .grid, we want to put this in row 0 and column 0. And I also want to give this a pad Y of 20 just to push it down the screen a little bit. And also a pad X of like 10 to push it from the, the side of the app a little bit. So, okay, that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and we'll call the second one translated text. So the first one is the original text. The second one will be the translated text. We want to put this in column 2, I think. Yeah. So the first one will be in column 0, then there'll be a space, and then column 2 for the next one. And that looks good. Now let's also create a button. So I'm going to call this the translate_button. Put this right in the middle. So that's going to be a button. We want to put it in root. We want the text to equal translate. All right. And let's give this a font of Helvetica with a size of like 24. And we finally want to give this a command of translate it. All right, no exclamation point. So we'll create this function in just a second here. So now let's add this button. So translate button dot grid. We want to put this in a row 0, column 1. And let's also give this a pad X of like 10 to space it apart a little bit. So, okay, that looks good. Let's go ahead and save this and run it just to make sure that looks okay. Head back over here and let's go Python translate.py. Uh-oh, translate it not found. Oh, that function. All right, well, let's come up here and create our translate it function. And for now, let's just pass, save this, head back over here, run this guy again. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I like the spacing here. We've got some padding here and some padding here and padding between them. Okay, that looks good. Now we want some combo boxes underneath these text boxes. Now you could also put scroll bars in these text boxes. I'll leave that to you. I've done that many times in many other videos in the playlist, so you can check that out if you want to learn how to do that. For now, I'm just going to leave off the scroll bars because it's going to take a long time, and this app is already going to take us a little while to make, so we'll just leave it at that. So let's come back over here and let's create combo boxes. So I'm going to call my first one original underscore combo, and that's going to be a ttk.combo box. And we want to put it in a root. We want the width to equal 50 and the value to equal something. What do we want the value to equal? Well, let's have it equal language underscore list. Now we don't have this variable yet. We'll create it in a little bit. We'll use that Google Trans to get that list of languages and we'll put it into the list like that. So, all right, that looks good. Now I want to set one to be the default one that shows up. So let's go original combo.current. And I want that to be the 21st one, which I happen to know is English. You wouldn't know that unless you looked at the list, and we'll look at the list in a bit, but I already know it's going to be the 21st one. So I'm going to put that, put whatever default language you want to show up as the default language like that. And it's just like any Python list. It starts at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So just go through the list, count up, and then put your number in. And then finally, let's go original underscore combo.grid. We want to put this in row equals 1. So underneath that text box, and column equals 0. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this guy and paste it in a second time. And this one will be, we'll call this translated combo. Same thing here, same thing here. We want this to be row 2. And then for this current one, it really doesn't matter what default one you put. I'm going to put 26. That's the French language. So that'll just be French. So, okay, that looks good. Now, finally, we need a clear button. So let's go clear button, clear the screen. So clear underscore button, that's going to be a button. We want to put it in root. We want the text to equal clear, and we want the command to equal clear, and we'll create that command in just a second. Now let's clear underscore button dot grid this guy, and we want to put this in row 2. I want to push it down even further, and then let's put it in column 1, so it's right in the middle. So, okay, that looks good. Let's come up here and create that clear function just while I am thinking about it. And this is simple, so we'll just knock this out. So let's clear the text boxes, right? So that's just going to be the original underscore text dot delete. And we want to delete from position 1.0 all the way to end. Remember, that's how we delete things from a text box. So we can put this in again and go translated underscore text. Same deal. So, okay, let's go ahead and save this and run it, make sure that looks okay. We did that pretty quick, and oh, there's always an error. Language list is not defined. Yes, of course not. So let's very quickly, let's say what right here, set language underscore list to 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. Okay, just a little something to put in there for now. So let's run this guy again. Uh-oh, index 21 is out of range. Of course it is. Well, let's go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 27, 28, whatever. Go and save this, run it again. All right. Okay, so that does not look correct. Let's fix that real quick. It's the 200th video. It wouldn't be us if we didn't make mistakes. So this is going to be, let's see, row 2, column 2, 0, 1, 2. Okay, this is going to be row 1 though. Alrighty, that should work. Let's run this guy again. All right, so that looks good. If we type stuff in here and type stuff in there and click the clear button, those both disappear. We've got drop-down boxes with lots of numbers in them. We'll fix that in a second. All right, looking good so far. So now we need to do the heavy lifting. We need to actually build out this functionality. So let's get rid of this guy. Now let's grab language list from Google Trans. This is going to take us several steps here. So let's create a variable called languages. And this is going to be a Google Trans.languages, right? So actually, let me bring back the language list thing. There we go. We'll delete that in a second. But now if we want to print languages, just to see what the heck this is, we can do that. Let's save this, run it. Go ahead and close it immediately. And when we do, boom, this is the list of languages. And you'll notice it's a dictionary. So we have sort of a language code and then the name itself. So LA, Latin, right? SK, Slovak, right? So we're going to need both of these things. So we've got all this stuff. How do we parse this apart and add it to our drop-down combo box? Well, we can do that. Get rid of this guy. So let's create that variable again called language list. And we can just call the list function in Python and then pass in our languages dot values, right? And if we want to now print out the language list, in fact, we can probably maybe get rid of that. So let's save this and run it and see what that looks like. Clear the screen first, run this guy, close it right away, boom. Now we get something a little bit better, right? This is now a Python list and it just has the names themselves. The code isn't there, the SK for Slovak, right? It just says Slovak. So, okay, that's good to go, right? So let's run this guy again and we can see, boom, there's our language list. Now, these are all lowercase. If you wanted to transfer them to uppercase using Python, you could do that. I'm just going to leave them lowercase. But okay, that looks pretty good so far. So now let's go ahead and get rid of that. Let's say convert to list, whatever. So now let's head up to our translate it function. And here we want to actually, translate something. So I'm going to create a try block. I want to do this inside of a try block. Why? Because we're translating things and you may enter something that can't be translated, so an error message is going to pop up, or we may not be able to connect to something and the error message will pop up. So we're going to do it like this with a try block. And then I'm just going to come right down here and say accept exception as E. And when that happens, let's throw up a message box. So message box dot show error. And here, let's put a title of Translator, and then let's just put the error out onto the screen. So yeah, that looks good. So now inside of here, what do we want to do? Well, remember that very first thing we created, that languages, Google Trans.languages. It had two things. It had the code and the language. So SK and Slovak, EN in English, FR in France. We need to get those codes, and we're going to use those to sort of translate the thing. Right? So we need to get them. So we can do that several different ways. Let's get the languages from the dictionary keys, right? So let's get the from language key. And we also want to get the to language key, right? So the original is the from. We're translating it from one language to another language. So we need the keys for the from and the to. So if we picked English, we need EN. If we picked France to translate it to, we need FR. So we need to get those things. So we can do that. So let's go for key and value in languages.items, right? And now let's do an if statement. So let's say if the value equals the original underscore combo dot get. So the original underscore combo is the drop-down box. So in a dictionary, you have a key value pair. The key is the 2-digit code, so EN. The value is English, so key value. So we're saying if the value is the same as in the drop-down box, that's the thing we want. Then we need to get its key. So if we look through the dictionary and we see English, and that's the one that's in our combo box, we're going to say, hey, get the key for that, right? So to do that, we can just say, let's create a variable. I'm going to call it from language underscore key and set that equal to the key, which is just this guy, right? So that'll do that. Now we can do the same thing down here for this guy to get the to language thing, but instead of the original combo box, we're going to look in the translated combo box, right? And instead of calling it from language key, let's call it the to language key, right? Okay, so we've got our two keys. So in our case, English, EN, French, FR, right? Okay, pretty simple. So now let's create a variable. I'm going to call it words, right? And here's where we're going to use the text blob. Remember, we imported this text blob thing. And if you want to look up the documentation for text blob, just Google Python text blob. The documentation is fantastic. You could do so much with this thing. I definitely suggest you go check that out. So we'll get into that maybe in another video, but in this video, we're just going to set this up. We're going to use it. We're going to create a textblob.textblob function. And inside of here, we're going to say, what text do we want? What text do we want to translate? Well, we want the original text, right? That is the original underscore text dot get. That's the text box. And remember, to get anything from a text box, we have to designate the coordinates in the text box. So we want to get everything from position 1.0 to end. That will grab everything in that original text box, right? And we're going to turn it into a text blob function, and we're going to assign it to the variable words. So now, maybe I should probably comment this, turn original text into a text blob. So now all we need to do is translate this guy. So translate text, right? So we can take words and set that equal to words.translate. And you want to spell translate, right? Translate, there we go. And now we just say the from underscore language, set that equal to something, and then the to language and set that equal to something. Well, what do we want? What's the from language? Well, that's our from language key, EN in this case. What's the to language? It's our to language key, right? There we go. Piece of cake, right? Now it's been translated. Now we just need to output translated text to screen. And remember that other text box we called translated underscore text. And we want to dot insert at position 1.0. And what do we want to stick in there? What do we want to insert? Those words, right? Boom. That's all there is to it. Now, this translated text, if we've already translated something, there's already going to be text in that box. So we probably want to delete that whenever this whole thing starts. So let's come up here and say translated text dot delete from 1.0 to end, right? And we could say delete any previous translations. Okay, let's go ahead and save this and run it. There is almost certainly going to be an error because, man, we flew right through that. So let's run this guy. So we can say hello, translate it. Uh-oh, name translated combo is not defined. Translated. I misspelled translation again. But you notice we have a nice little pop-up box because of that error handling, that try block, remember? That's cool. So I'm just going to search for translated. There we go. Translated. There we go. And let's try it again just in case. Man, I misspelled translator all over the place, didn't I? Translate. Okay, there we go. One more. Nope. All right. So go ahead and save this. Run it one more time. It's a 200th video. We must have 200 errors. That's how that works. So hello. Salute. Well, that's not correct. Without the exclamation point. Bonjour. All right. How are you? Comment. Ça va? I don't know. Oh, and we can play around. So don't want French. Let's try German. How are you? Wie geht es Ihnen? Okay. My name is John Elder. Period. My name is John Elder. Okay. So very cool. And again, we can pick, we can try it the other way. Let's put German in here. I don't know. It's a 200th video, man. Let's play around with this thing. And we could change this back to what? English? Translate it. My name is John Elder. Hey, look at that. It worked. So very cool and very easy. And like I said, you can head over to Google and just type in Python TextBlob and get the documentation. And you can see there is all kinds of text processing, cool stuff you can do with this. NLP, natural language processing. You can classification, tokenization, word and phrase frequency, which is very cool. Parsing, n-grams, word inflection, spelling correction, all kinds of stuff you could do with this. You can see there's a pretty good set of documentation here. Blob classes, very well written, very well done. This is great. I definitely recommend you play around with this, but just that easy. We've got our own little translator. So you don't have to head over to Google Translate every time you want to translate something. You just pull up your little app, and pretty cool. So before we go, I just want to thank everybody for sticking with me for 200 Tkinter videos. I can hardly believe it. It's been a good couple of years coming, but man, 200 videos, I'm kind of speechless. I don't know. We're just going to keep cranking them out because this is fun. So I don't know. You guys seem to like them, so we'll keep doing them. And that's all there is to it. So that's all for this video. If you liked it, be sure to smash the like button below, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, and check out Codemy.com where you can use coupon code YouTube1 to get $30 off membership. So you pay just $49 to access all my courses, over 47 courses, hundreds of videos, and the PDFs of all my best-selling coding books. Join over 150,000 students learning to code just like you. My name is John Elder from Codemy.com, and I'll see you in the next video.